Operation Confidence proudly presents America's Invisible Heroes radio talk show. Tune in weekly on Sundays from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time with your host, Consuela Mackey, co-host, U.S. Air Force veteran Matt Davidson, announcer Taylor Marcella, U.S. Army veteran and Strategies for Hope segment host Dr. Kathy Cash, U.S. Army Reserve veteran and entertainment segment host Charles Whitehead, U.S. Army Special Forces veteran and I Once Was Whole segment host Richard Cook, U.S. Army veteran and Lifeline for Women's Veterans segment host Martha Elena Varela, National Faith Director, Chaplain, and Veterans in Recovery segment host Anthony Akampora, and U.S. Air Force veteran and Incarcerated to Success segment host Kevin Lewandowski. For more information or to be a guest on our show, email info@operationconfidence.org.
Operation Confidence is a grassroots nonprofit. The organization's mission is to provide stable housing for veterans who have experienced homelessness, as well as providing a wide range of supportive services. To help accomplish our goal, a successful landowner has donated land for the project, a world-renowned architect has offered to design the houses, and construction classes from the local community colleges will take part in building the houses. Your support and donations are needed. To get involved, please visit our website at www.operationconfidence.org or email info@operationconfidence.com.
Okay, well, welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Americans Invisible Heroes, a show that was created to provide all type of resources and experiences for our wonderful, wonderful veterans that we're offering to support. Yes, Operation Confidence is a grassroots nonprofit organization, and we're happy to be here today with our new co-host. Our new partners involved. But anyway, aside from that, no, I'm not a veteran, but my heart goes out to our American heroes, especially those veterans who have disabilities and may be experiencing homelessness. For those who are new to the show, we want to let you know that America's Invisible Heroes was established to provide a platform for our veterans to be able to share their experiences, heartfelt stories, resources, and accomplishments. Now, I'd like to invite you to introduce our co-host for today. We have U.S. Army Reserve veteran Charles Whitehead. He's also a board member. We have U.S. Army veteran Martha Varela. She's on our advisory board, and she has a segment every other week called Lifeline for Women Veterans. We have U.S. Army veteran, Dr. Wendy Children. She has a bi-monthly segment called Living Life Completely. And then we have a new member to the team. That's Sean Brown. He has a monthly segment called, he's the lone coach. Go ahead, Mr. Brown. And then we have Ann Montague. She has a bi-monthly segment. She's a bi-monthly segment host, and it's all about the Rosies movement. Take it away, Ann.
Oh, thank you so much. Before we go any further, I want you all to know that we have a Rosie the Riveter on the line. Her name is June Robbins. I'm in Charleston, West Virginia. She's in Philadelphia, or very near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And what I'm going to talk with you about just for a few minutes here, not taking a lot of time, but Consuela and I and our organization have worked together for over a year. Who's counting, I don't know, but a good while. And we decided that what we wanted to do now is just review some of the ways that we are trying to pull America together with our Rosie the Riveter projects, and that Operation Confidence is definitely taking a leadership role. One of the things we need to clarify early on is that our mission in our organization, which is called Thanks, Plain and Simple, is to create projects that should be done in America and do such a good job that the rest of the country joins in. So that's all about unity. And then the second part of that is, when possible, to include veterans. It's very important that we find the right veterans who are eager and capable of essentially showing what can be done in America that's not being done. So the Operation Confidence has a piece in the American Rosary Movement. Any individual that wants to be involved has a piece. What we consider to be a movement is essentially getting the public to change their attitudes and their goals so that we get really focused on improving America and not so much on individual projects or individual I would call social systems, politics.
And can I ask you to do me a favor and share who are the Rosies, Rosie the Riveters and the Rosies movement for our audience and radio listeners?
The Rosies are the women who worked on the home front in World War II. You know what? I don't think I screen shared with you all. I'm so sorry. Let me.
Okay, well, I can do that. Just finish telling us who they are.
So the Rosies means the women who worked on the home front in World War II. So they're called Rosie the Riveters, but it's a very bad name, and I gave up trying to change it because it's so entrenched. But these are women who, the youngest we know is 94. My mother was a Rosie, so I'm considered to be a Rosebud. And these women, there were as many women working on the home front as there were men in the military in World War II. It's quite an astounding number. Now, they did everything from make boots to prepare food to make the ships, rivet airplanes, and lots and lots of people worked in offices of one sort or another, especially in Washington. So I've put 14 years into this, essentially thinking that I would be successful if I found 14. We found 14 the minute that we got an ad in the newspaper. And so we put 14 more years into it since that time. The lady that's on the line here, June, are you a lady?
I am here.
Are you a lady? That's the question.
I think so.
You think so? Good. That's great.
How old is June?
June's 96.
And she's a whippersnapper.
She's a whippersnapper. So June, why don't we just take a minute here and let June take about, say, 3 minutes, June, and tell them what you did through World War II.
Well, let's see. I was in high school at age 17, and the war was happening. The boys were leaving to go to war, and my parents were divorced, and I just knew I had to do something. I didn't ask anybody's permission. I knew I had to do something to help the war effort and to go with my mother. So I talked to my homeroom teacher, and he suggested that I might be interested in doing mechanical drawing. Well, there were only boys in that class, and that didn't bother me. If it didn't bother me and it didn't bother them, what's the difference? So I did join that class, which meant that I would miss 4 other classes. The teachers covered for me. They marked me present, although I was absent through 4 classes every day. They gave me a terrific course and taught me extremely well. And when I got to a certain point, the teacher sent a letter to the Philadelphia Navy Yard, where my mother was also working, but she was on the aircraft side. She did the punch press, drill press, worked on the inside of airplanes, and also did the barriers on the flat tops, the aircraft carriers. We never talked about anything that my mother did. I didn't find out what she did until after the war. They gave the women and me, I was considered a kid, but not a woman yet. And they gave us over 80 hours worth of hands-on teaching, from drilling to welding, you name it, we did it. If it had to do with the ship, even took us aboard one ship to show us what it looked like. And they placed me in the department at the 045 building. There were quite a few women there. They were wonderful to me. They gave me the protection that all kids need, and they were so cooperative and wonderful. I did mechanical drawing. They gave me the name of engineering draftsman. Imagine that, a 17-year-old, an engineering draftsman. But we learned on the job. Most of us learned on the job. Teach us well, and we will do perfect work. We knew we had to do perfect work because one little mistake could cost a man his life, and we knew that. We bonded together. We women had a softball team. We had a bowling league, and I was included. And I think one thing that really touched my heart when I was there, I hadn't heard from my boyfriend who was in the service. He was the starboard weight gunner in a B-24 in the Navy, and I hadn't heard from him for 2 weeks. We had been exchanging letters much more frequently than that. And I mentioned to one of the women that I hadn't heard from him, and she showed me an article in the newspaper where the plane had crashed on that field where he was stationed, and I was frightened. Well, Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, and whatever, they took me to a church, Philadelphia, and we went in there and lit candles and said prayers, not just for my boyfriend, but for all the service people. And it just gave me such a wonderful feeling to know that we were a family. We were doing things to help the war effort. And we did quite well. President Roosevelt came through the Navy Yard. That was quite interesting to see our president. They gave us USO shows and many others. Not only did work during the war, but we were USO hostesses, and we went to school at night, as I did, to try to catch up on my diploma. And by the way, Anne, I received my high school diploma through the good graces of the chaplain of the Fort Chaplain. And I was absolutely astounded and thrilled and cried through the whole thing.
When did you receive it, Joan? Her diploma?
Several weeks ago.
Oh my goodness. How many years was that?
You were 95, I believe, weren't you, June? You were 95, yeah. And this is a bona fide diploma. It's not an honorary diploma. They gave her a bona fide high school diploma at 95 years old.
Isn't that-
Congratulations.
Thank you. But they felt that I deserved it. I helped my father with a college course that he was having difficulty with, and we discussed it. He passed his course, and he thanked me for helping him. And when my boyfriend went to Temple University, he did not like English, and I loved English. So I wrote his report for him, and he copied it. I got a B. Had I really been a college student, I would have known to write more and how to write it better. But I could do it now, but I couldn't do it then. And he got a good mark.
You said you got a B. You mean you and he got a B, right?
Yes, that was it.
He gets the credit. You did the work. What's new?
That's so wonderful.
So
And
that
we want June to come back on again. She's always welcome on the show.
always
You know
welcome.
that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So what we need to talk about today, you want to go into the, let me do the screen share then, Consuela.
Yeah, I've already marked you as a co-host.
Well, for some reason,
There
I
you
don't know
go.
what's happening here. Screen
You can
share.
see your screen, but you have to pull up your
Hmm.
document.
Well, it is minimized, but it looks like something
you have
strange
to,
is happening. Hold on just a minute. I've lost
maximize it first and then do the share. So stop sharing right now and then maximize it and then do the share.
Okay,
'Cause
yeah,
if
I'm sorry.
minimize, you won't see it.
Tell me again, Charles.
So
I didn't hear you. Tell me
stop
again.
your sharing right now. Stop the share.
Stop to
screen.
share.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just a minute.
That's at the top. It should be the green button that says stop your viewing or stop this. It's
Stop
probably
share.
stop share at the very top in the middle.
A green,
Zoom
green button.
Hmm,
in the top middle of the Zoom window.
okay, hold on. Um, I'm stopping the share. Okay, did that.
Okay,
There
now
you go. We're
now
back.
And go back
bring your
in.
document up. If you have it minimized, you know, bring it out full or
Okay,
so it's not minimized.
is it
There you go.
coming up?
Yeah,
It's
Yep.
there you
there.
go.
There you
Are
go.
you seeing it? Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. So I want to let you know that Consuelo has very kindly offered that on the 13th, that would be 2 weeks from today, I will give a more full presentation. But what I wanted to do today is give this introductory, if you will, summary of why we feel that Operation Confidence is leading the way in the American Rosie Movement. So the American Rosie Movement is to get people all over the country to find these women who are still living, and even if they can't find the living ones, to honor them by doing the quality and work that the women did. Pull together, do the highest quality work, and do it in a spirit of cooperation. That's what the women did. It took me about 2 years to hear that. What I was mostly hearing is exactly what they did, and delighted to get to know each one like June. But then I began to see that the overall message is to pull together, do highest quality work, do it in a spirit of cooperation, because if we don't, as a nation, we're basically losing our freedom. We've got to face the problems that we have in a cooperative way. So you all have a piece in the American Rosie Movement. One example of very recently is that on Labor Day, we always ring bells for Rosies. So 3 of the members here on, I guess.
There was 10 on our team.
I didn't hear you. I
There
didn't
were
hear you.
there were 10
Yeah.
from Operation Confidence.
And I just gave you,
Oh,
I just have 3
Oh,
examples.
look at that ugly
I
picture.
know you have other things to do today, but I love these pictures.
What'd you say, what'd you say, Martha?
Look at that blurry picture of me.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right.
I love that picture of you. Now, this is what I really want to concentrate on, because, it really has the content. How is Operation Confidence leading in the American Rosie Movement? So when we go to people and we say, do you want to be part of a movement? They get glassy-eyed and they have no idea what we're talking about. And it sounds like hocus pocus to them. But what we've found that people need 5 things in order to join in and be cooperative across America. First of all, they want a reason to pull together. And we have found over these 14 years that community after community, if we only had the money, we could have had at least 500 communities by now. But community after community believe that the Rosies are worth uniting around, no matter what kinds of religious or political or other differences there are. They lay those aside and they say, no, I want to do something to honor these women. I want to know more about what they did, and I'm going to essentially take part in some way. So people need a reason to pull together, and I believe we're giving America a good reason. The second thing they need is they need to see others doing something. They don't want to be the first. They don't want to be guinea pigs. We now have done 22 different projects. We've named the first government building in America, the Rosie the Riveter building. We've named interstate bridges. June is working now on getting a mural in a very large building in Philadelphia, and it goes on. So there's 22 different projects. You all have done a great job because you're interviewing a Rosie every other week, and finding them and interviewing them and getting the public to know who they really are as people. It's not facts and history books. It's really connecting people through these very human stories. The third thing that they need to know is that they'll be guided when they take part in the movement. They don't want to say, okay, you choose a project, and they choose a project and there's nobody there to tell them what to do and basically guide them. The fourth thing that people need, and we're talking about the public now, is they need to get credit for what they do. It's clear that one of the facts of human nature is that people can do very creative things and be first and put a huge amount of time and money into it. And the next thing you know, somebody's taking credit for it. And the person who did the most work and who had the original idea is left out. So whatever this group does or anybody does, we want to make sure that they get credit for what they do. So for example, Operation Confidence and Thanks have an MOU. And we're always looking for ways to strengthen each other. The final thing is the people want to know that what they do will be part of something bigger. So we always say, we quote Aristotle, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I don't know anything that's more factual than that. You know that piece by piece, things simply don't have the dynamics that they do is that they would have if they come together. So we've always believed that Operation Confidence, your work here, not only just to interview the Rosies, but one of our long-term plans with Consuela and the group here is as she builds essentially a community for veterans, for homeless veterans, we hope that there will be at least a Rosie Park, if not even possibly essentially a museum there where the different things that we've done and found in photos and signatures of famous people that we've gotten and so forth would be.
So that's the promise, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot more to show, but we're running out of time.
Yeah, I know
I
that.
want you to be able to elaborate on the 13th, the whole project and what you're doing.
Let me do just this one little bit, and because I want you all to add to this. The common goals between Operation Confidence and Thanks is that we are improving our goal is to improve respect for veterans, for women's contributions, for people's potential, and for providing that or proving that people can do awesome things when we unite. If you all see any other unity, way that we are working together, let me know. We are acting together to interview the Rosies who represent all these things that are there that we just named. We need to ring a bell for Rosies, and you attend some of the events virtually. And Consuela, I was so pleased that she I presented to the Harvard Club of DC a week or so ago, and she came in on the line. I think she added so much to that because, to be very honest, these are very sophisticated people, and I don't know that they typically understand and work with what I consider people who really give all at their local level. And I think Consuela added a lot to that.
Well, that's so sweet of you. I didn't do anything, but I think you did a phenomenal presentation. I was so proud of you. And I want you to share more on the 13th, but as I said, we're running out of time. We have other guests waiting.
That's good. And I'm gonna, June, you can stay on the line as long as you'd like, okay?
Yeah, June, you're always welcome, girlfriend.
Okay, good enough. All right. I'm putting you up close to the mic, so
Can you
speak up, just do it.
take off your screen share?
Oh, okay. I've forgotten how. How do I do it? Here.
Stop.
Green button.
There we go.
There you go. Okay.
Back home again.
Okay, great. Bye, June.
Hi.
She's gonna stay on the line a while and listen.
Okay, great.
Thank you, June.
That was a great presentation. Take it away, Martha.
Okay, female veterans often find themselves caught in a double bind when discussing their service due to the assumption that they are not considered veterans. So this sometimes can be multi-layered if you talk about combat veterans, if you were a female who saw combat or a female who did not see combat, and that ever-ending saga of discussion. Over the course of the last year, and I'm again just paraphrasing an article here that had an opportunity to engage with over 100 service women and female veterans to help get an understanding of how their experience was on active duty. And again, this concept of identifying as veterans. Some of the women had served with and had close friends, people who, you know, in the experience you come to be close friends with. Maybe you didn't know at first until you kind of get into basic training and all that good stuff. You identify or you come up with these or develop relationships with people that you just met. Some women, you know, you served were strangers who responded, you know, and again, I'm just paraphrasing where the information is coming from in this interview. So this person wanted to make sure she got an array of interviewing people who came from decades of service, different service, every walk of life, ethnicity, sexual orientation, service branch, and military occupational specialty to kind of get a broad view of if women think the same in terms of their experience identifying as veterans. Now, service women are promised that they join a brotherhood at enlistment or commission, but oftentimes this is only to find out that women are constantly treated as though they are the outsiders. So they interviewed a Marine veteran named Mary, who we'll refer to in this article as Mary. So Mary says, most male veterans don't identify us as veterans, but as additions to the service that happen to be there. And she hopes that it changes. I understand it's subjective. It's not the only thing that women want, but women don't have recognition, oftentimes don't get recognized for what they do, not in the service and not after the service. Service women are acutely aware of their visibility as a minority while in uniform and their invisibility as veterans. To be a woman in the military is to live with coexisting identities that are dissonant with conventional gender roles. It is to live with the greatest empowerment and to feel isolated, invisible, and misunderstood, both by the institution in which one serves and by the society whose constitution one is sworn to protect. It is why when many women leave the military, they choose not to identify as, or choose not to self-identify as veterans. So service women are also promised that they are joining a brotherhood at enlistment or commission. Again, finding that it's a little bit more difficult to get some of the benefits that they're entitled to. And it's interesting, we're kind of going to hear a little bit more up from our guest today, kind of what that causes, like both mental distress and sort of that social and emotional impact that it has when you're constantly feeling like you have to fight to get the benefits that you were promised or, you know, awarded when you enlisted in the very beginning of your service. So now we'll hear a little bit from Jane, who was an Army veteran. She served in special operations in the 1980s, and her husband was also a veteran. And she explained that identifying it as a veteran is often a frustrating hassle. Sometimes it feels confrontational. I've had people say, "Oh, your husband served," because she's shown her ID, and usually they'll ask for the husband. The assumption is that the male is the veteran, and she would constantly have to reply, "Yes, we both served." A lot of people are unaware and sometimes don't realize that in a way is rude. But the assumption is there clearly, right? That it's the male who's the veteran and not the female. Other times it took a minute just to kind of educate people when she was asked that a little bit about, her service to help bring awareness. And sometimes people just don't want to bother. So you just avoid the question altogether. The growing civil military divide in the United States affects both male and female veterans, and both are likely to encounter ignorant questions such as, did you kill anyone? Yet there is a fundamental difference between male and female veterans upon leaving the service. Male veterans tend to go from being part of a tightly knit, cohesive military unit to feeling out of place in their communities at home as well. So there's some transition stress that's related to that. Women go from being visible outsiders in the military to being invisible outsiders in their community. So kind of a double whammy there. You're kind of dealing with already the stress of what that was like in the service, and it getting worse when you get out of the service, which I could agree was true for myself as well. But while they both experience this transition stress associated with the loss of the tribe when you leave the military, male veterans who do choose to participate in the veteran community will find at least a healthcare system and some sort of social organization that are set up to meet their needs. Women do not and may not even ever find this organization and institution to replicate the very same challenges, which could range from being, frustrating to threatening, that anything that they experienced to this magnitude while they were on active duty. So it's almost less inviting, or, not having an organization or an institution to kind of help in the same capacity that the male counterparts do. So for example, if you're one out of two women in a several hundred member social club for veterans, it might be kind of uncomfortable to even go to the meetings, right? It doesn't feel very accepting, although I have seen some more recent, like the women of, the Moose, or the women of, some of the other military social groups. But again, it could be very intimidating if there isn't any women that you might know personally, and or kind of in this connection, a male that might also belong to kind of help introduce you to the same or social network of folks. So then the last person to kind of talk a little bit about is a female veteran named Lisa, who served as an intelligence person with the Green Berets in the early 1990s. And she talked a little bit about, how her job was really stressful, directly, or considering that it was not directly in combat. So if your convoy didn't get blown up, or it wasn't, one of the world wars, then it's like you didn't really experience, that's sort of the stereotype. You didn't really experience what war was. And again, we struggled to fit in. The women struggle to fit in, because again, we're not really promise the same things that our male counterparts always are. And so this article just kind of talked a little bit about just and we hear that constant discussion about, number one, not even identifying as veterans, right? Over and over, we hear these articles talk a little bit about the same thing and how hard it is. And this one, I think, this article tried to give a little bit of an understanding kind of in the beginning of how that's set up, what it looks and feels like. But it is really true. And if you think about, I kind of didn't think about the networks, the support networks that are created when you come out. So this, to me, doesn't surprise me, but it makes more sense as to why maybe the women aren't connecting after service or post-service. And like for me, it's interesting. I've been out of the service for over 20 years. I'm an Army veteran. I was a combat medic, although I did not see combat. And I'm glad I didn't see combat. I probably would have a different set of challenges if I did. But it's interesting because you don't, after you just sort of, for women, we live life and start our families, go to school, start our careers, for those of us who joined the military early. So you don't kind of think about any of that you were missing, right? If you didn't know, and they don't tell you, there's nothing there for you to connect to. So it's interesting in my experience that after 20 years of finding out that there are subsets of veteran communities, whether it's, employment programs, training programs, recreational programs, social programs, what have you, but you don't know about them. And then once you connect with them, for me, it was like, wow, I missed out on 20 years of camaraderie, friendship, whatever else you may have needed, right, along the way. But just at a minimum, the camaraderie, the friendship, the community that you don't realize isn't there if you were never told that these are kind of the things that you could connect to. So that was interesting to me because, and as I talk to other vets and work with more vets, this is how I got into the line of helping with homeless veterans in particular 4 years ago when I got to LA. Again, these are services and programs that are available that no one ever told you are there. You guys, I mean, and most of you probably have learned this, which has shaped your reason for wanting to work with vets in some capacity. But it's just amazing. And so this article just kind of wanted to give some context as to probably the how that gets set up, and not realizing that, kind of after the fact, when you're out living life like normal, that you're kind of missing out on some key resources, programs, and at a minimum, a community that is there that just far too many veterans aren't aware of. So thank you, Consuela, for this informative article.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's the you don't know what you're missing. You don't know that you don't know. It's it's a sad situation, and we talk about it all the time on this program. Uh-oh. Well, we're gonna keep going. I don't know what that means, but anyway, the recording's like, yeah, you don't know what I'm getting ready to do, but that's all right. It's still we're still rolling.
It's live. It's recording.
Yeah, we're
I have,
recording.
I have no idea what
It's
happened.
okay. But
Zoom Twilight Zone.
that's it. So it's unfortunate, but we are putting it. We always put the emphasis on that.
Yeah,
So
or not forgetting to highlight something, right? To keep the awareness kind of going.
Martha, would you give me the title of that article again?
I don't have it here in the script, but Consuela can get it to you.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
Charles, introduce our next guest, please.
sure. Next up, we have Eric Delgadillo and Veronica Lira from Alternatives for Vets. Eric is a Marine veteran who served from 1998 to 2014 during OIF/OEF. I don't know what that means, but Eric will tell us, right? He is now the executive director of Alternatives for Vets. He has a master's in business administration from the University of California, Irvine. Veronica Lira is the founder of Alternatives for Vets and director of operations with a master's degree in clinical social work from the University of Southern Cal, I should say, licensed by the Department of Veteran Affairs. The mission is to foster public health models in the veteran claim process that helps promote veterans' wellness as they transition back into their communities. The vision that all veterans are successfully positioned in their community as valued members. They're creating stewardship for veterans and their families, and they want to provide guidance and counseling on how to take ownership of their claim process. Go ahead, take it away, Eric and Veronica. Sorry.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you for having us, and it means a lot to me just listening to the conversations, about veterans. Why is it important to understand everybody as a whole, right? And everybody's part. I know that they spoke about this earlier in regards to making sure that all these parts come together so that each veteran has a better transition and they could go on with their lives. And like every other veteran, we all go through our struggles because we have different experiences. But, I came to Veronica one time to literally ask for guidance in regards to my claim and figure out ways to, like everybody else, trying to figure out, okay, what do I do now? I go to my GI Bill, get my education, go to find a job. What else do I do? They gave me a transitional class in regards to what the next steps were, and it was very everywhere, right? Information was everywhere, trying to figure out exactly how do I get this information more condensed, more centralized. And I could tell you that the way that it was formatted and the way that the information was given to me was a lot more easier to understand, and it was not hit or miss. It's more like, okay, these are the things that you need to do in order for this claim to be taken care of. And I could let Veronica explain to you a little bit more about what the process entails and how she was able to, keep this alive since 2015. So Veronica, go ahead.
Thank you, Eric. So again, thank you so much for having us. What Martha just communicated, I've seen, throughout my experience in helping, encountering and assisting veterans through a very difficult daunting process. There's a lot of information out there, on the internet, self-guide, YouTube videos, and an array of different professionals who will, bring the information. One of the components of delivering services is actually left out of the equation, which helps misinformation and creates like barriers. But I can definitely, I agree with what Marta's saying. Female veterans have a high need of validation, getting validated, explaining their situation, feeling safe to communicate their situation, just to feel, validated in their community, in themselves, to kind of come back and have consensus, within yourself of who you are and everything you have gone through, which, includes transitional phases from who you were before you came onto active duty, who you were on active duty, and who you are after active duty, and combining all those experiences into one identity. And so we see that a lot. But Alternatives for Vets was founded on the idea that, there needed to be mental health components inserted into the process to, for the objective of two things. Number one, assist the veteran in recognizing and understanding some of the elements, the legal elements, with addressing some of the mental health elements that shadow and create kind of like this barrier in understanding the legal aspects of the claim process. And then the second thing is to help providers also reduce compassion fatigue, traumatization, secondary traumatization, and some of the other things that happen when you are giving, and trying so hard to make sure that, you are providing help. Because any of us, whether you're a veteran or a non-veteran, in the process of assisting veterans, you're doing it because, it's the why. It's the why behind your heart. Why do you want to do it? Just like in other professions, the providers, select certain professions because it matters to them, because there's a certain thing that ties you to that population. And so there's a component of giving, and the giving, when it's not structured, when it doesn't have a foundation, can crush into the provider, and then that doesn't help any of our veterans, right? So to give you a little background of, how I came to see this information is in 2000, that's when I wanted to join the Army. Actually, it was 1996, but it didn't pan out. So I went and started working. I went into a field that supplemented my need to serve. I started helping veterans. I started learning about compensation and pension, survivor benefits, burial benefits, and I started to do the work and helping our veterans out, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was, the most fulfilling assignment that I've ever done. And I started in the county of San Bernardino, came over to the county of Los Angeles, and in 2010, I realized there's something missing. We are missing a mental health component into helping our veterans. And so from that experience, I began to kind of look, what was it? And that's what drove me back to get my master's degree in social work. And with that, came up with Alternatives for Vets. Alternative for Vets uses a philosophy foundation that incorporates this mental health into like 4 steps in the claim process. And it's a lot of information. Basically, what I want to tell you is that we embed certain skills from evidence-based practices that has helped veterans across many different fields. Short, long wait clinics, waiting a long time for an appointment, waiting a long time just to get information from the VA about your case. For veterans of all aspects, combat, non-combat, female, transgender veterans, and veterans who have communicated suicidal ideation. And so these skills have proven in other areas to be efficient. And so we began to implement them into our interaction with veterans. And doing so, we found that we were able to successfully help our veterans reduce their inner anxiety regarding the claim process, which also helps other areas of their life, right? So if the veteran is not worried, what does the VA want? What else are they looking for? Am I doing the right thing? Should I go, ask somebody else? Then they're able to address those other areas that become very important to them, such as family, such as employment, such as the other tasks of school, turning in projects. And then our 4-step process moves each claim from intake to strategy to engagement with the VA to a final decision in a very strategic form that helps the veteran see a goal, become focused on that mission, and then complete that aspect of their claim. In process of what we do, we hear a lot of moments like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, for example, in step number 3, when the claim is in development, the veteran may or may not receive appointments for their compensation, their CMP exams. And that's a moment of high, stress, increased stress. All of a sudden you have this appointment and maybe you know what it's for, maybe you don't know what it's for, maybe you have to change the appointment. It just becomes kind of like a difficult process. You don't know what to say. You don't know what they're going to ask you. So a lot of uncertainty rises, and we provide an educational session that gives them information, but most important, say the mental health one, the psychological examination. When you don't remember and when there's trauma, you're going to remember only certain aspects, and you're going to forget to include how that process affects your life today, or how to communicate those symptoms without minimizing. Minimizing is something that we see in the claim all the time. The claim comes back 30%, the veteran's upset, they disagree, and now you're in the appeal process. And so what we aim to do with our psychological insert, this educational session, is to make sure that they align with the percentage so that they're able to communicate that percentage. So when that claim comes back, they're happy. They agree. They're in alignment with what they received. And guess what? We reduce the claim process, the backlog, and the appeal process with the VA. So we're working allied components while delivering mental health services to our veterans and helping the VA reduce their backlog. And basically, there's a lot of components, a lot of things that we do, but what we're looking to do with those inserts, the models, is that we strongly feel that this is scalable, that we can teach you, another provider, how to do this so that you're able to help out more veterans, because going back, to what Ann said, it needs to be a community project. It needs to be, as a whole, we need to do it together. It can't be, how many veterans go looking for the good service officer? And the good service officers get inundated with work with lines all the way out the door. No, we can scale this across the board so that there is a professional model that can be delivered to our veterans that can help more veterans out in not just our community, but across the United States.
That is so cool. That's what we want to have. And we have to partner with you guys. What you're saying is so true. Ann and I and Martha and Dr. Childress and of course John. I know Charles, we've all had this experience, And
it's funny that we talk about this today, because just yesterday, and I'll just touch on this, one of my uncle's grandson came by. I'm at my mother's house in Arkansas, and we had never met before. And he's 19, and he was talking, and he's from a little town here in, like somewhere east of Little Rock. And I was, talking to him about things like this, and he said, "Oh, I was thinking about going into the service," and I started telling him, "Be sure when you go in, know what you want to do, because and that you don't go in and do 3, 5 years or whatever, whatever time you do, and you come out and you end up right back in the same place with the same people that you hung out with before who weren't doing anything." I told him, I said, if make sure your recruiter knows. I said, because if you, and make sure that job that you go in has a connection with the civilian world, because if you go in and you become a master at watching trees grow, there's not going to be a job like that when you get out. So so he was, I was, the whole time I was just educating him on about my business and these things, and so it matters because I told him, I said, they will get you in and then to feed you to the wolves and then kick you out, and if you get hurt in battle, the first time you can lose your legs and or whatever, deny you on disability. So I gave him a quick one, but it's good. And we're conscious of what you guys are doing, and that's great. So you know
And that's what happened to a lot of our veterans.
does.
A lot of our co-hosts, same thing. We have one veteran that got out. Actually became an alcoholic. Didn't Charles? You know who we're talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And while he was in the military, and then when he got out, he couldn't get his benefits and wound up homeless. How long was he homeless, Charles?
So like 20 years or something, like, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just sad, but right now, I mean, he's doing wonderful because his job position was to, in the beginning, to go out and recruit homeless veterans and help them to go through all of what you guys are offering and more. And then from there, help them to get a job and of course, housing and so forth. So he's done a remarkable job.
And then the other aspect of that is when you said about the service officers, you try, they're some of them they work hard, other ones don't.
Most.
Right.
I mean, me myself, I'm going through the process now, the appeal process now. I got
Me
hurt in
too.
1982, and I didn't even know anything about that I might be eligible for benefits. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I started the process, and it's contradictory as what they're telling me. So,
Mhm.
I'm there.
And how long ago were you considered as a disabled veteran, Charles? You had your accidents. How long ago was that?
1987 is I had the accident before I made it home from my AIT, my training. So I had an accident. Well, so I had an accident in 1982, and not far from where I'm at right now, with a head-on collision with a drunk driver. 5 years later, I had another accident, and that's the one that put me in that paralyzed me. So, but 1987, when I had the second one, is when I stopped doing the reserve time, and I went to the VA. They told me, to apply for my VA housing certificate. They said, "Oh, you have to do an X amount of time and this and that," and they were looking like no. They gave me that, but then the other stuff they say no. So it's like, which one is it? I qualify, I don't. And it's very ambiguous and very the information is, like you said, disinformation is you know um, big, and when it comes to veterans knowing and
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
so
feel very unhappy when I hear that veterans have to uh, keep continuing to look for the person that can help them. I got denied. Can you see
Mhm.
this? Can we reopen it? You know what you hear in that? There's a sense of validation. How many times, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen cases where, Department of Veterans Affairs says this, but the veteran says that's not true. Right. And so you can't go on. You get a stuck point in your mind and you get stuck. And so you have to resolve it in order to have resolution in your mind and then move forward. And so a lot of the times it's the need for validation. And, for example, I helped a veteran who in 1979 got his first claim denied, and over the years, denied, service organization, private attorneys, denied. Eventually in 2017, he finally got it granted, and it no longer was about the injury. It was about, you're wrong. You're
mhm.
wrong and I'm right. And so, I think that goes, across the board with other populations as well, for, a lot of wrongful convictions when, the person says, no, I'm innocent, no. And so you don't align with that decision, and it causes a lot of stuck points mentally, health-wise. And so what we're trying to do is address the needs of our veterans to have a fair review, a fair engagement, a fair assessment. And that comes with going back to reorganizing is what is not working at engagement. We're talking about transitional stress and transitional difficulties. There are spots where, female veterans don't feel heard and understood because there are gaps in that process of helping them transition. Well, there are gaps in the process of helping veterans, communicate the legalities of something that, they don't understand. So basically, we believe that the program that we've been working on to insert quality of service looks the same each and every time with each engagement. There's differences within the context and the individual needs of the veteran, but the case model is the same all the way around. So that's something that we can teach others. And so that's what we're looking forward to.
Wow, that's so amazing. Well, we want to learn it too. Teach us too,
Absolutely.
Can't get enough information. Martha, you've experienced some
Oh yeah, don't get me started.
I know, I was gonna say the same thing.
Charles is over here helping me because my experience is exactly the same, in terms of, and I was helping other veterans first before I even realized that I was going to be in a similar situation. But you'll love this one. The VA denied me in July on the basis of their medical observation and determination when I never even went to the VA. I'm still waiting for them to tell me what day and what time to show up. And now they said that they denied me, and I find it completely I'm insulted. You didn't even tell me when to show up, and I've been suffering it out now. For me, kind of like Charles, I broke my foot in basic training, and never did I get counseled. I'm learning so much just even from my own experience after the fact. Because again, you live life, you put it behind you. What do they say? Suck it up and move on. Okay, well, I did that. I wasn't going to get recycled. I'm not going back. I'm not doing this over. So let's just get through this with a broken foot. My foot never healed properly over all these years. Again, I've been out of the service for 20 some years now. Now, fast forward 20 years, I got a hip problem and I need hip surgery. And I've been in excruciating pain for the last 9 months straight. Again, waiting for the VA, in my mind thinking, okay, I'm going to walk in at my worst so that they can, and again, I've already gotten the second and third opinions outside of the VA. So I'm doing my part. And then I get this letter, literally a couple weeks ago. So I'm working with Charles and someone that Charles, relative that can help me get my medical records. Because again, they would not give me my medical records, which I find interesting because there's medical records there. I went to the hospitals, I went to the clinics. And, so now I have to work to supplement with my information. And it's just, and again, I'm probably finding a lot more hilarious than I should be, just because I get more satisfaction and joy out of helping others work through their process. And again, others who, have 10 times worse of an injury or, more of a severe mental health issue related to the trauma that they saw. So I get it. My broken foot is probably down on the bottom of the totem pole, but still all of these years of service that I could have gotten, the medical care that I should have gotten to keep so that I can put, I'm young. I should not be the doctors were looking at me what did you do? And I'm so this has just been kind of an interesting scenario, but you're right. It's it shouldn't be this way. And it does cause just an incredible amount of mental health and stress and fatigue. And even when we, you're talking a little bit about this term, we've talked about it too with the transition, and it doesn't always just necessarily happen when you're getting out of basic training or coming back from combat, but the lifelong, transition that happens when you're, changing careers or going back and forth to school. And, the support, and that's there, the programs that are there, whether you want to open a new business this year or go back to school next year, there's all these resources, and they don't share this information with you that could help make your life during those transition periods 10 times easier and more supportive, and, more resources to help with that. So
Martha, one more thing, your injury came from having to carry those heavy bags and heavy boots, and tell them a little bit about that.
Well, it was Yeah, when I joined way back in the early 90s, we wore those stupid boots, those dumb leather boots that had no give in them. It was like the worst kind of boots, and they got rid of them obviously because everybody was getting hurt. I mean, their feet were getting messed up, whether it was the bottom of your feet or the top of your feet. And now they have the ones obviously with the mesh, or
Little,
what is it called? Like the
little springs. A little,
yeah, like
Eric, you would know about
the
that, right?
Vibram, yeah, they have Vibram, they have different
yeah,
technology.
elastic,
Right.
kind of like, right, the stretch elastic on the ankles and around your feet, and then again on the top, so that when you're jumping and running and doing all this training stuff that they want you to do in these boots, that it's not causing an additional injury to your foot or your feet. So I mean, this should have been a slam dunk in the bank for me. I had the medical records there, but now I'm gonna choose to be a lot more forceful when I go back to appeal, because you lied and you said that I was there, and I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for you to tell me when to
oh
show
yeah,
up.
and the funny thing about it is, Martha gets a letter and says that they evaluated her. You know, they hadn't even seen her. So it's
Yeah,
crazy.
see, that's
Yeah.
so terrible.
I'll say those QTC appointments are jokes because
They are.
most of them are not physicians.
Yeah,
A lot of
right.
them are physician assistants or nurse. They're not even physicians.
Mm.
So there's a joke. And
It
I
is.
wanted to say, I always, when I meet veterans, so it's up to us to educate the
Mhm.
veterans that we encounter.
Mhm.
All of us that have been through this system, it's up to us to educate them, because we know 9 times out of 10 they're not getting educated while in there, and also educate those that are in there, because when I encounter those in and those that are now veterans, I always ask questions to see where their mind is, to see what they know, to see what they don't know. Because if we don't, just like that with not knowing how to secure your benefits, I was truly blessed when I got injured, because I had someone guiding me from the surgeon that was actually on staff and with me when I deployed, who is now gone to glory. He connected me all the way through. He was a believer. He was a good man. He connected me all the way through. So I don't have to, I actually don't have that horror story per se, except for when I got back and getting my benefits. But we should not have to, nobody should have to fight to get what they're
Benefit.
entitled to. That
That's
makes
right.
absolutely no sense.
Yes, and let me just say one more thing while you're on that note. One of the things that I've seen is that, and listen to this, veterans do not have due process rights. Okay?
Mm,
And that's a whole different platform
mhm.
for fight and for like speaking out.
I know.
Even in a foreigner in our country has due process rights. The claim itself has gone through a legal process in determining, do you have rights to an expedited hearing, to an expedited review, to just the expectations of you having an answer. In the old process, the appeal process has shifted a little bit, and that's for a topic for another discussion. But did you know that in the old process, veterans are still waiting for that board hearing, and it could be 5-6 years waiting for a board hearing, so that you know how many things can happen in between? Yes, 4 and 5 years, your life changes double, triple times things change, and you forget things, and you lose things. I mean, good, the kind of people that are organized, that can kind of keep records, who can remember. But what about our homeless veterans? What about the ones that
Yeah.
can't keep records, and because of their situation,
No
who
address or
advocates for
anything.
them, right?
This is
And,
what
due
and I
process.
have to say this before I forget, because that's where I'm glad you said that, records, Martha. Well, not just Martha, everybody. So when I meet, and I was smiling, Charles, because I met 2 young people last week sometime. One said he was going to the Marines, the other Navy, but I try to educate them. True, don't go in there and allow them to give you anything. Know what you want to do, go in there and do it. And if you do your 3 or 4 years and that's all you have, don't feel like you're obligated to re-up. But far as those records, I learned that early on, because I would give the NCO something or the readiness, and they would lose it. And it's like, but I gave you that. So then what I started doing, I'd only give them copies, and I would give a chaplain, was a chaplain, and I give the chaplain assistant a copy, so that we had, and I email him, and everything I gave them, I emailed. But as far as keeping records, I tell young people, and not just young people, everybody that I meet that are still in the military, get your medical records, download them every month. Go in there while you still have access, download your medical records, because how they disappear, I don't know, but they do. But if you download them every month, you know that when you leave out of here, you have your records and you don't have to worry about them disappearing. So if you all are not telling people to do that that are in the military, I suggest that you let them know to download those military records, why they have them. They can go to the hospital and ask them. They'll print them out. It'll take them 24 hours, 40 hours, 8 hours, depending on how many records you have for that month. But they are supposed to print them out for you as well if you ask for them. But get a copy of your medical records. Do not leave the military without them.
And Martha, here's my last, insert on this. Martha was denied based on a factual error, something that she cannot verify. The VA cannot verify. It hasn't been verified. Cross-examination is a term in the regular court process, right? Okay. When you can't produce it, it didn't happen, right? And so cross-examination is so important in the preparation of that appeal. Why? When the VA gives you a decision and your decision, gives you this basic broad statement in regards to why it was denied, and in the list of documents as evidence used towards the decision, they list the CMP examination, because you have to look in that decision, did they list the CMP examination? And if so, why won't they give that to you? Why isn't it that it comes attached as a document to the rating decision so you can cross-examine it? Did that happen? Is it true? Can't tell you how many cases things were not true.
This is one of them. I'm still waiting, but it's all right because I got an alternative plan of action. So, but you're right. I can laugh about it because I've helped so many others kind of get through this, that for me now, I'm like kind of the last one. And then look, I meet you guys today on the show. So this is perfect. And Charles is helping me. I just talked to Charles last week about getting the medical records, because that was, and I have my other second and third opinions from the other, neurologists, the orthopedics, so again, I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, knowing that you hear all these things about the VA and kind of how this process works. And now, unfortunately, I have to say the same thing, that experience is also true for me too, because I still haven't gone to the VA. I did go for my ears, but that didn't, and so I was hoping that the rest of the appointments would come quickly thereafter, but no, I never went to get examined for my foot or my hip or my lower back and kind of everything that's now progressed due to the fact that my foot never healed properly. So.
Yeah, well, it's so sad what the stories that we hear, and not only the stories, I mean, just knowing that our veterans are having suffered through this. This is a way that the reason why Operation Confidence got its start, when we seen them sleeping out of their wheelchairs on the street. I mean, this is America, and they had no address, they had no resources, they were abandoned by family members and loved ones and fiancés or others, and they didn't know what to do. So, they just wound up on the streets, and it's so sad. And then there's just thousands more now since we've seen them years ago. But together we're going to make a difference, and we're so thankful to have you on board and give that information out, because our veterans definitely need it. And I don't want you to make this your last time, because you have a wealth of information that we need. I want you to go along on this journey with us to make a difference for our vets. Huh, Martha? Huh, Charles?
Yeah, we definitely could use the help.
How Dr. Childers?
Yes.
Can you give us a phone number if someone wants to reach you guys at your organization?
Yeah, I need
You
to
know,
put that over there.
yes,
Yeah.
we do have a radio um,
Show.
station, so we have listeners that aren't able to see us. So we want to make sure everybody has,
Yeah.
Can you give that
Okay,
out
yeah.
Go
several
ahead, Eric.
times?
Yeah, definitely. You could always reach us also at alternativesforvets.org or at 562-432-1516.
Please repeat
I'm
that.
sorry, 562-461-1516. I'll say one more time, 461-1516, and area code is 562.
And our website also has a method to contact us as well, to send us a message, to schedule a consult, an intake, an appeal exploration, and it makes it really easy to get a hold of us.
what's the website?
Alternativesforvets.org. That's plural, alternatives with an S at the end, FORVETS.org.
And
All right.
Eric, give that number out again a little slower so everybody can't get a pen and a pencil.
Okay, sorry about that. It's 562-461-1516.
Great,
All right.
thank you. That was great information, huh, guys?
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you. So moving right along here, Dr. Wendy, go on,
Okay.
girlfriend.
Well, Connie, let me ask this. Since Sean is new and I'm watching time, I can
Yeah,
do it really quickly. Since Sean is new, can we let him go first? Just
I would prefer that, but I didn't want to
yeah,
take up
because
your
if we
time.
get to the Nick, I can, yes, let him go first and I can
Thanks
go
a
last. You're
lot.
welcome.
We don't have to follow the script after all. Come on, Sean. I've been knowing Sean. How many years, Sean?
Oh man, I don't know. At least since around
least-
2010, 2011,
Yeah.
between 2010, 2012, somewhere around there. Yeah. for
Right,
sure.
right. Well, welcome.
At least 10 years for sure.
Exactly.
Should I introduce them real quick?
Yeah, would you please?
Sure. Okay, Sean Brown, thank you for your patience today too, because we get off into these really good conversations and it's kind of hard to like pull away. So thank you for your patience today. But Sean Brown is the branch manager at the Amres Mortgage Services Company. The segment he's going to talk about today is the use of down payment programs to help home buyers. So a little bit about Sean. Sean says whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Since market conditions and mortgage programs change frequently, you need to make sure you're dealing with a top professional who can give you quick and accurate financial advice. As an experienced loan officer, Sean has the knowledge and experience that you'll need to explore the many finance options available. And about Amres, was founded with a vision to build a company around the customer. Over time, Amres joined by like-minded loan officers and operations professionals and now span the continental United States. Amres does business in all corners of the country with everyone from first-time home buyers to seasoned investment professionals. Go ahead, Sean. Take it from there.
Take it away.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate being invited. Like Consuela said, I've known her for a very long time. So my social media handle is the loan coach. And so that's where I am on Instagram and on Facebook.
Can you repeat that? Because it's an echo somewhere in you.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
When I'm
Kinda echo.
talking, there's an
Yeah,
echo?
now we can hear you a little better. Get a little closer. So
Okay.
your title is what?
No problem. The Loan Coach is my social media handle on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, so that was a great introduction. I like all that cool stuff. But I've been in the business for a while. I'm a branch manager at Amres. We're located downtown Los Angeles. It's where our office is. But money travels, so we can actually do loans in 50 states. Even though we're only licensed in California. So I wanted to talk to you guys about, well, as you know, as I just said, I'm a loan officer or a branch manager. But when someone's about to buy a house, the main things that we're looking for are, on the lending side, are their credit and if they have down payment or if they have any savings. Those are the two main ingredients to purchasing a home. Now, on the VA side, there is no down payment, luckily for them. So what we can do sometimes with down payment assistance on veterans is you can use the down payment assistance to pay for the closing costs. Okay, so now just to recap what this down payment assistance is. So when we say down payment assistance, for example, if you're going to purchase a house for, let's say, 400,000, the down payment requirement is minimum down payment requirement would be 3% on a conventional loan. Okay, FHA requires 3.5%, and then the basic normal conventional would be 5%. So 5% of 400,000 is $20,000. So a lot of times people don't have the $20,000. So what the down payment assistance does, it actually assists with the down payment. So, and the reason why I just wanted to say that is because a lot of times people think down payment assistance somehow propels them to another qualification, right? So that's not what happens. So you come to the lender, we qualify you based off of your credit and your income. We calculate what's called your debt to income ratio, and that lets us know how much you qualify for, okay? So you qualify, the borrower qualifies for a certain amount, then based off of that amount that you qualify for, you then would then put down either the, whatever your down payment requirement would be. And if you don't have that, that's when we would add the down payment assistance to that. Now, again, for the veterans, the cool thing about the veterans is that their loans are 100% financing. So if they qualify, whatever once the loan officer or the lender does their debt to income ratio, whatever that number is, the veteran actually does not need to come up with any additional funds, but they do need to come up with closing costs. And so sometimes the veterans don't even have the closing costs. And that's when we can utilize down payment assistance. Even though it's for the down payment, since the veteran doesn't have a down payment, we could then just utilize those same funds for their closing costs. So one other thing I want to mention about VA loans. One is, well, a couple of things. One is every veteran, every home that a veteran is purchasing, or even if they're refinancing a home, they do have to get a termite report. So that is something that is very unique to just VA loans, is you have to get a termite report. Also, something that a lot of veterans don't know, since we're talking about not knowing our benefits and things like that, is that the VA loan is actually not a one-time thing. So the VA loan is something that you have it forever. It's a benefit, right? It's a lifetime benefit. So if a veteran purchases a home using the VA loan, after 3 years, it like renews itself. And so the veteran can then buy another house, again, using the VA. Now they do have to pay off, they can't have 2 VA loans, because the VA loan, you do have to live in the property. But if they bought a home, sold that home, or somehow paid that VA loan off, that veteran could then get another VA loan. So that's something that a lot of veterans don't know. And what I wanted to do, am I able to do like a share screen?
Sure. Oh, I didn't make you a co-host. Okay.
Okay. So my main thing we had talked, I think somebody had mentioned about educating. So I do try to, that is my main thing here with is trying to educate the borrowers. I primarily work with a lot of nonprofit organizations and do a lot of down payment, like homebuyer workshops. Because when you get these down payment assistance, the majority of the time, you do have to take some sort of homebuyer workshop where you need to get some sort of certificate and show that certificate to the lender to actually get the down payment. But I wanted to show you something that I use when I am trying to educate some of my clients. Oh yeah, I think I can share. Awesome. So let me go ahead and share this. Awesome. Okay, so this is something that I just did for a borrower actually this morning. And so what I'm trying to show the borrower here. So this borrower, we did a debt to well, this is an analysis. Let me just explain to you what you're looking at. So what you're looking at is an illustration, and this illustration is showing for this particular borrower, I'm showing her a monthly payment because I did her debt to income ratio, and her monthly payment total is about 2,600. So 2,600 is her debt to income ratio. So what I was trying to show this particular borrower are different ways that she can get to the $2,600 payment. So in this example, we have using down payment assistance. So this example right here, she can purchase a house using down payment assistance, and the interest rate would be 7.25. Her payment would be 2,600, but her closing costs are only $2,300 because of the down payment assistance. And so let me just show you. And so right next to it is an example of what she did with no assistance. Now the no assistance is a little bit higher. She can qualify up to 350. But still, if you see the difference in the cash to close, which would be the money that they would have to come up with the down payment and closing costs, is a lot more. And so this is just an example of how I can actually illustrate and show the borrower how possibly using the down payment assistance, if they wanted to use that, could save them some money. And I guess that was going to be it. Let me stop sharing.
I wanted to ask you something. Can you go back real quick?
Oh, sure.
Just real quick. Is that the payment? Is that their note every month?
Yes, this is their monthly payment every month. And I have a break, it shows a breakdown here. I can click here. And you guys, can you still see this page as well?
Yeah.
Okay, and this shows the breakdown of the payment. So the actual mortgage payment is $2,009. Then you have your property taxes, your hazard insurance, your mortgage insurance, and that's how you get to the $2,600 payment. So that's including everything, taxes and insurance and everything. Now, the difference between the VA loan is the VA loan is guaranteed. The difference between the VA loan and FHA loan. And so the VA wouldn't have this mortgage insurance payment.
Just get ready to say, yeah.
So this payment at all right here is not on a VA loan. But this loan that I'm showing this borrower is an FHA loan.
Okay.
So the federal government or HUD has pretty much four mortgages that they offer. The FHA, which is for the general public. We have the VA, which is for the veterans only. We have USDA, which is actually for rural borrowers who live in what they call rural areas. And that can actually get you 100% financing as well. And then the federal government has reverse mortgages, or what they call a HECM. So those are the four loans offered, but the VA and the USDA are the two loans that do not have the mortgage insurance. Those loans are not insured.
Okay, that monthly payment is awfully high. But with the GI Bill, would that be totally different or what?
Well, again, these numbers are for this borrower. Her debt to income ratio, $2,600 was her max payment. So everybody's different. Once the borrower comes to the lender, we would need to get their profile, which would consist of running their credit and looking at their income to find out what they qualify for. So whatever everybody's going to qualify for something different.
Okay. I could say 2 years ago, I've owned a home before, but 2 years ago I was going to buy a home, and my interest rate was going to be 0.80, less than 1%. But what did I do? I went and bought a big rig instead. So,
Can you bring the screen? Can you bring it closer? There you go.
So my payments were, it was like ridiculously low for what I would have been they would have been, out of this world. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
Then and that was going to be a VA. See, that's the whole thing. That was total VA, 100% everything. And I'll because the prices are starting to go down, and I'll do this
Yeah.
next year or so.
Do you have like a contact number, Sean, where people could get a hold of you if they wanna?
Oh,
You took
yes.
the
Send you
words
an
right
email?
out my mouth.
Please, yes,
Mhm.
again, so the social media handles are the Loan Coach. My website is loanswithsean.com. And
Spell
Sean is
that
spelled,
out. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so it's loans with an S, LOANS, with Sean, and Sean is spelled SEAN.com. So loanswithsean.com is the website.
Okay, and then you have a contact and phone number?
Oh, of course. So my phone number, you can reach me at is 213-291-4486.
Can you repeat that several times for our radio listeners?
It's 213
Radio here. Yeah, right.
291-4486. And I do all loans. So again, I do those 4 government loans, FHA, VA, USDA, and reverse HECM. I also do conventional loans, home ready, which is like a low income conventional type of loan. I do jumbo loans. I do construction loans. I can even do a VA loan if a veteran wanted to build a house from the ground up. So if a
That's what I
veteran
was looking at.
had some land, or if they wanted to buy some land and build a house, I could do a whole construction loan on a property if they wanted to. And we can do this in 50 states.
You can do that for veterans?
For
'Cause, you know,
veterans, yes, sir.
here's my idea. I would like to buy land and buy about 6 containers and build a container home. You know, I know
Mhm.
that's something different,
No,
but
we can do that.
No.
We can do that.
Sean has showed me something like that too, didn't you, Sean?
Right. Well, because some of the container homes are considered manufactured homes. So
yes.
depending on how it's built and put together, you can get a mortgage on this.
All right, good.
Great information. Thank you.
Sure, I really appreciate the
Sean.
opportunity to be
Thanks.
here. Thank you so
And
much.
you'll be back next month with some more good information, right?
Oh, there's always some new stuff going on in the mortgage business.
Okay, super. All right, Dr. Childress.
Okay, so
Go, girl.
I won't be before you long, right? That's the pastors in me coming out. But first, let me say a prayer, if you all don't mind. Dear Heavenly Father, we just give you all the glory and honor and praise, Lord. We thank you for waking us this day. We thank you for our health and strength and for keeping us. And Lord, just giving us the strength to make it through another day. We lift up Charles's mother, Lord. You know what she needs. We don't. So we just trust in you that you'll help her and heal her and give Charles the strength he needs as he helps her. Lord, we thank you for each and every person here, for all the information that is going out, and for each and every one being a willing worker to help others and not just themselves. We thank you for everything in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. So, like I said, I will not be before you long. I'm going to share my screen outside of, oh, Connie, you have to.
Yeah, you went on.
I'm sorry, yeah, because I got
this back right now.
Thank you. So outside of, I wear many hats, and Connie asked that I share this other hat that I wear with everyone. And outside of being a life coach, my daughter and I have a business that is our focus is on African American women and African American women. And the name of the company is 52 Love. And that name came about in honor of my parents, her grandparents, who were married for 52 years. And so we named the company in honor of them, 52 Love. And empowering Black women, African American women, is something near and dear to my heart because it is a mission that the Lord gave me many years ago. And it is something that is needed. I tell you, I went to see Till yesterday, and I was just, I was full. Wasn't the first time that I'd seen or read or heard the story, but to watch it again and to watch it, I was full after that. And not that I doubted the Lord, but it's like, okay, Father, confirmation that what we are doing is definitely needed. And because we need the support. So what I pulled up is our website. If you know of any African-American women, if you are one, please check us out, even if you're not, because we also have we have Granny's Girls. And of course, you can about figure that was from my daughter, Granny's Girl. And with that segment, our desire and what we do is help other women that are in need. So this is our website, 52love.com. Again, feel free to check out and share with anyone. And so we do retreats, wellness retreats for African-American women. We did one just recently in September. We were first going to launch in 2020, our first one. However, coronavirus, COVID, whatever you want to, it hit. So that delayed us. We had to postpone it. And then 2021, people were still a little shaky. So we postponed that one. So we actually just had our first one last month. And I'm trying to get to my tab, but the share thing keeps coming up. So let me do this. Let me see if I can minimize this. Oh yeah, that's a smart one. Okay, so Connie wanted me to share a portion of this video, and I don't know, can you all hear that?
Yeah, but it's sideways. Can't turn it around.
It's good. That's cinematography. It is going to flip around in just a moment.
There we go.
But we don't hear it.
You're gonna have to narrate it. Can't hear you, Doc. Can you narrate it since we don't have a sound?
Sure.
Gotta do play-by-play for us.
You know what?
Yeah, just narrate it. It's you talking. So tell us where we are. Well, and what you doing. It's a gorgeous.
So we are in Arizona. We're in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is the rental we used to host so we were in Scottsdale, Arizona. That was the rental we used to host the retreat. These are some of the women that were there and one of the activities that we worked on. And
that was a menu.
This is where one of the restaurants that we ate at. And I want to call it Lulu's, but it's not Lulu's. Lulu's is here. And it's an African-American owned restaurant. And this is one of the restaurants we ate at. So what we try and do with each and every retreat is we're going to do something that is, and if you all bear with me a moment, we are going to do something that is educational. We do a workshop. It's a 2-day workshop that's involved with the retreat. Now we have a Pamper spa weekend where that's just about spa, relaxing and everything like that. But with the retreats, we do a workshop. We do what we have as a KTE, which we call our kitchen table experience, where growing up, I don't know how many or many of you may have had the same thing, where everything's centered around the kitchen table. Your conversations, everything. Everybody met at the kitchen table, you ate, you had great conversations, and that is where we came up with the KTE experience. And that is what we always offer a KTE experience. And so workshop, KTE experience, something educational, something promoting African-American businesses, something promoting African-American history. And in addition to that, with this particular one in Arizona, a lot of Native Americans. So at the time we went, there was a powwow, and we went to the powwow. So we want to, because a lot of times people travel and just do the tourist things. Well, I've never traveled like that, and I raised my daughter not to travel like that, because the tourist things normally get you nothing but touristy entertainment. You want to take in the culture of every community that you go into. And so that is another thing that we are big on, culture. So again, and we are looking at opening up in the near future retreats for multi-ethnic women, for all women, let me say it that way. And another key thing for us is intergenerational. So our retreats and what we do, we offer for women, African-American women at this time, from ages 18 to 108, because we are firm believers that the young women need to learn from the seasoned women, and the seasoned women to for younger women, but we can also learn from the young women. So with that multi-generational connection, it just makes for a great opportunity and great time. And we also, if you go to the website, you'll see that we'll be offering courses as well. So again, 52love.com, FIFTWO, love.com. And you can connect with us through there. There's a contact us site there, but just go and explore it. And but I think that is enough.
Can you tell us,
yes.
Can you share with us your part in the military?
My part in the military, a medically retired chaplain. So I was a chaplain in the military. It is, I say, and I still say it, the best career you can have in the military if you care about people. If you don't care about people, go do something else. But if you care about people, being a chaplain, you have to be called for that. So I was a chaplain in the military. I did love what I did. I enjoyed it. Let me see. I got the opportunity. I don't know how many of you ever experienced the Strong Bond retreats or ever heard of Strong. Have any of you ever gone to a Strong Bonds retreat in the military? Had you ever heard of it?
Nope.
No. Shame on your chaplain. Because see, and it is because it is ran by the chaplain corps. We put on a Strong Bond retreats, and that was one of the biggest things when I was in there. Chaplains just did not disseminate the information, and so I'm pushing Strong Bonds out there now. So you all who are listening, please go bombard your chaplain's office. Find out when the next Strong Bonds retreat is, because we do, listen at me, we do, as if I'm still in there. They do offer retreats for singles, they offer retreats for married couples, and they offer retreats for family. And it's a weekend retreat in which they pay for. You just have to get there. They cover your lodging. You go in civilian uniform. Your meals are covered. And the retreat, I back that up, can't say retreat, scratch that, it's not a retreat. Those listening, those money makers, I'm sorry, those who provide the money for it, it's not a retreat, it's a seminar, it's a weekend seminar. And it's well worth it because you learn skills on relationship skills with singles. With married couples, you learn relationship skills there. With families, you learn skills to help you with your family life. One of the biggest things for me with the married couple seminars and the family seminars is as I'm presenting and I'm looking out there and you just see people taking deep breaths because they're realizing it's just not them. It's just not me with the kid that's climbing out the window and I have to go chasing them. Or it's not just me with the husband who's non-responsive or the wife who's drifting. It's not just me. And so then you see them coming together and making relationships. So please, 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 these seminars are well worth it. If you don't attend, funding goes away. So, and this is through the chaplain course. So go to your chaplain's office. If you have not heard of it, I apologize for the chaplain corps because there's no way that you should not have heard of it, but it's Strong Bonds. It's done through the chaplain corps. And again, it's a weekend seminar. They have singles, they do families, and they do married couples. And sometimes with the married couples, some, depending, and not all, sometimes babysitting is available. So bombard your chaplain's office and see what's available. There we go again with information not being disseminated. And I'll say this, and then I'm going to be quiet. I was in, where was I? I was in South Carolina? It doesn't matter where I was in wherever I was. And we were in civilian clothes. It was after work hours. We had gone, another chaplain and I had gone to get something to eat, and we happened to be waiting outside for our seats and availability. And we were talking about the strong bonds, and we were talking about that if the more people don't start attending, they of course they want to cut it. And there was a man sitting across from us and he was listening to our conversation and he says, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't want you all to think I was eavesdropping, but he was in the military, we're all in civilian clothes. And so we have no way of knowing. He says, I'm in the military too. And I went to the married seminar and it saved my marriage. And it's like, well, we need you to be advertisement. So it's not, it's well worth it. Go to your chaplain's office and ask them, hey, I heard about this Strong Bond seminar that's been going on since beyond 2010. Let's see, definitely since 2011. Why haven't you put out any information on it? So bombard your chaplain's office, find out about Strong Bond seminars, and they are well worth it. And I will close with that.
Oh, thank you so much. Give us your contact information.
So contact for me.
Yeah.
Again, you can go through, if you're interested in learning about what we do with 52 Love, contact us through 52 Love, FIFTWO. Let me go slowly. FIFTWOLOVE.com. And there's a contact page on there in which you can get in contact with us. And again, in the near future, we will be doing retreats for all women. And if you want to get in contact with me on my life coaching side, or if you want to ask me a question, you can contact me at Living Life Complete, LIVINGCOMPLET @yahoo.com.
Wendy, can you make sure, I want to make sure that 52, you said FIFTWO, is it a FIFTYTWO?
Thank you.
You know,
I
okay.
see I was going too fast and I slowed down and it was still going too fast.
Okay, I just want to make sure. FIFTY.
I keep saying it wrong, don't I, Charles?
Yes, you do. I just want to make sure. I'm like, maybe it's me. I said, no, no.
I
No.
would just say no.
And it's funny because I do it all the time.
It's
I do. Here you go.
There you go.
There.
FIFTY.
FIFTYTWO. And sometimes I say TOW because my mouth is going faster. My brain is going faster than my mouth, and so there you go. FIFTYTWOLOVE.com.
Okay, thank you. That was
You're
great.
welcome. Thank you.
Okay, bring our screen back.
Yes.
We are really running out of time here, so
Charles.
we're gonna skip and I think we need to pass the. I'll just talk about the hot news today. Hot. Damn.
Okay.
Hot news. And I'll just say that Operation Confidence is an employment partner with Amazon. And what I'll say about this is Amazon has a list of job opportunities, and they're hiring at the following locations. You can look this up at operationconfidence.org. It's Santa Clarita, Simi Valley, Chatsworth, Valencia, Burbank, Camarillo. They have the Los Angeles station, Gardena, Huntington Beach delivery station. And what they'll do, a lot of them is the roles will be like sortation associate, and you will be sort scanning and loading customers' orders to fulfill same day and 2-day shipping delivery times. And they have full-time and part-time jobs. If you want to, I would suggest that candidates text Amazon to 77088 in order to be alerted when more applications are open. That's Amazon to 77088. And the contact person is Crystal Martinez. She's the staffing coordinator at LAX North and the workforce staffing. Her email is M as in Mary, CRYSTA at Amazon.com. That's MMCRYSTA at Amazon.com. And
what about those websites?
The websites.
Didn't they say this was extra, like expedited for veterans that you just mentioned?
Yes.
You're with Operation Confidence, and like you literally don't even have to apply in the same way because they're looking for veterans. Is that right?
Yes. Right. But that's Amazon.com military jobs / military jobs.
Yes, and they also have flexible job. Amazon.com / flexible jobs. Amazon.com / student hourly jobs. Amazon.com / military jobs. Amazon.com / PWD hourly jobs. And Amazon.com / hourly jobs near me. Check out all of those. Don't forget, applications are live now and fill up quickly. So you are asked to have everyone in need of a job there in LA to have their candidates to send in as soon as possible. No resumes or interviews required. Call Ricardo Fierro Jr. He's you can reach him at RICFIERR at Amazon.com as well. And it's there are a lot of jobs there. Go for it.
Can you repeat his contact information, please?
His contact information is, his name is Ricardo Fierro Jr. It's RICFIERR at Amazon.com.
Okay.
There it is.
Take it away, Martha. Close it out, you guys.
Okay, so before Miss Connie closes the show, I'd like to remind our viewers today about our Amazon amazing advertisement rates. We have a 20 and 30-second advertisement slot available for anyone who might be interested. Please email info@operationconfidence.org. Once again, info@operationconfidence.org for more information, and visit Operation Confidence website at www.operationconfidence.org. Again, that website, www.operationconfidence.org, where you can also go to our resource page for some amazing resources. I'd also like to inform our viewers and radio listeners about Amazon Smile. When making your next purchase on Amazon, please go to Amazon Smile and type in Operation Confidence in the Choose Your Organization donation box. Amazon will make a small donation to Operation Confidence. Also, to get involved, oh, before I mention, you have to go, before you actually start making your purchase on Amazon, you have to go into that other page. So Amazon Smile. If you go to regular Amazon or your regular Amazon page, it will not give you the discount. So I just wanted to make sure we understood that was a little confusing to me. Okay, so if anyone is interested in getting involved in our tiny houses project, go to our website, visit our website, and send us a message on how you would like to be involved. To our viewers, we would like to inform you about Operation Confidence's Positive Redirection Team, which is a group of male and female veterans who are mentors having overcome similar challenges and situations transitioning back into mainstream society. To be connected or to become a team member, email us again, info@operationconfidence.org. Again, that email is info@operationconfidence.org. And we're also excited to inform our listeners about Operation Confidence's Combat Boots and Lace Women Veterans Mentoring and Creative Arts Program. I think it might be a good idea for Dr. Wendy and maybe Consuela and I to meet, because I was listening to you, Dr. Childress, and I was getting some ideas kind of just floating through my head about what we can do to combine like the women veteran efforts that we do here at Operation Confidence and making something a little more formal. I have a women veteran foundation on the East Coast that's looking to do some work with women veterans. And so I'd like to share that. I talked a little bit to Consuela about that about a week ago, and maybe rope you in to share with you kind of what they're able to provide. So there might be a way that we could work together. And I hear loud and clear that you've got a passion for working with women and women of color. And I think that this might be a way we could provide some of that same, and it's interesting not to get off the subject here because I know we're closing, but to really bring back that whole conversation around the dinner table, right? Where once upon a time as a society, that was a really important quality time that we built in as family, and around, those conversations where we talk about values and morals and, what's important to this family and that family. And we're drifting away from that as a society, right? As we're moving so fast paced with technology and, and umpteen things to do, that like that time, that precious time that we had as a family with our children, and whether you're a single mom or not, or a married family or not, kind of is irrelevant, because that could be built back in. So I was really kind of taking some interest to that while you were explaining, kind of building in that experience on multi-level. So this might be a way for us to kind of get together soon. We can talk about some things. I know that Consuela would like to see this women veteran group get up and running, and some of the things that I have, some resources that I have at the table. So
and
sorry to get
say this. Thank you. And if I say this real quick, that was one of the favorites of the weekend, sitting around at the table. And we prepared a meal and we sat there and we had that conversation. And on the feedback, that was one of the favorite parts of the weekend that they enjoyed. So there's a lot to make this. Yes, let's talk.
Let's do that. That'd be great. Okay, closing out now.
Okay, go ahead, Connie.
As always, we want to remind our viewers that our goal for the show is to raise awareness about Operation Confidence's mission, which is to provide stable housing with a wide range of supportive services for our veterans, especially those with a disability. So to get involved with our grassroots efforts, we would like you to make sure you contact operationconfidence.org, and you can also contact Martha at info@operationconfidence.org. And before signing out, I want to make sure that please ask all of our viewers and listeners to subscribe to our American Invisible Heroes. We're on YouTube. We have our own channel. And we, as of, let's say, June of last year, we have over 74,000 views. Last but not least, we're proud to inform our viewers and listeners that our American Invisible Heroes Talk radio show is now on the Block 105 satellite radio. And that's a 2-hour show on Saturdays from 10 to 12. We're on Spotify now. And we're almost right around the corner from being on iHeart, Apple, Google Podcasts, and Radio Public. So we're getting the word out there. We're extremely excited. And I want to thank our guests for coming on the show today. And our host, you guys always do a marvelous job. And make sure everyone tunes in for next week. We'll be right back here again. Thank you so much. Charles, you going to sign us out now?
Signing us out now. You know, I'm over here in the dark almost now.
Okay.
You know, it's
How'd
not
you
usually this way.
Because he's 3 hours ahead.
Oh, okay.
I'm well
And
ahead.
it's Halloween, so you got your Halloween
Hey,
effects
yo,
on point, Charles. You're
Yeah.
fading in and out.
All right. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
See you later. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank our
Bye.
guests. You guys were absolutely amazing.
Ooh, press play.
Bye-bye.
Adios.